All right. Okay. We are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition here at Equilibrium of our AMAHeat sessions. These are exciting sessions we do every 2 weeks where we get to bring in exciting guests from our friends and family and our community to talk about everything that's happening here in the space of decentralized finance, decentralized applications, and the broader blockchain landscape and everything in between. If this is your first time joining, a little bit about us. So Equilibrium, here we are a decentralized framework for generating asset-backed stablecoins and the next generation of DeFi, decentralized finance applications. These AMA sessions host as a great opportunity for you, the community, to connect with some of the great thought leaders out there who are doing a ton in this space and have the chance to ask them everything and anything. So what does this mean? Today, for the next hour, we've got one of the best from the industry on with me. You can drop any question you have either in our Telegram group or online, and our team and I will flag it. And if it's relevant for the conversation, we'll bring it up. If not, we'll save it till the end. And
Sweet.
Also at the end, and then at the end, our awesome guest today will choose the best question asked, and we'll drop a little reward, something to that winner as well.
You get half the token supply.
You get half of it. You get half of it. Big shout out as well. We've done several of these and haven't had a chance to do a proper shout out to our team. Mike is on the chat from the Equilibrium team, and he is monitoring everything. So Mike, much love and thank you so much for all the work you do. Now, with that, I'd like to welcome our guest for today, Max Dapp, the YouTuber of YouTubers, one and only who hasn't been banned yet, and he'll probably tell me otherwise, but Max, welcome.
Yeah, no, mate. Thank you for having me on, man. Thanks for the nice introduction. Really excited to be on the show. I have been banned before. I actually got banned for a week because I did a video about like the Brave browser, and then they were like, "No, you're not allowed to promote other browser like Google Chrome and I don't know what it was, but yeah, something to do with the links." But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Really excited. I really love your project as well. Equilibrium is awesome, man. We'll obviously get into that in a second, but definitely some really hot use cases for it being built on EOS. Like I came from thinking that Ethereum was going to take over the DeFi space, but now it's like, you know, loads of controversy with the whole crash recently. So yeah, it's thanks for having me on, dude. And let's do some questions. And ask me anything, but not just don't ask me anything personal. And I'm joking. Well, ask me whatever you want.
I do have a personal question.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I'm only joking.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, how did Max Dapp become Max Dapp? You know, let's go behind. You know, Dwayne Johnson became The Rock. We know his story. Give us the Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, dude, you're a legend. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, Max Dapp, you know, I was in the gym. I was working out, taking protein shakes, and I thought, it's a bit of a weird one, really. Like, I kind of, like, found Bitcoin. When did I find it? So I was actually in Australia at the time. And some guy I was on holiday. I was kind of traveling, didn't really have a job, just, like, going around Australia. And then I just spoke to some guy in a bar, actually. He was like, "You heard of Bitcoin, man?" No, that's American. He was like, "Good day, mate. Like, how you going, Maxie? You're a pommy. Like, how you going?" And I was like, don't know why I'm doing the accent. But yeah, he told me about Bitcoin. I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And the price was like about $1,000 at the time. And it started going higher and that's how I kind of got absorbed into it. But then really what happened is I started using Steemit. That was how I was like, the social media platform. And then I learned about Dan Larimer, that rabbit hole basically, and I started posting on Steemit. Like I did a video of me on Steemit, which is like me with a huge beard. I was like really fat. I was really bad, and that's kind of stopped me from doing more videos. But then, cut long story short, learned about Steemit, and then EOS. Obviously, Dan Larimer was building EOS, so I was like, wow. He went on the, I think it was what's that? The anarchist. I can't remember the guy's name. I can't remember right now. He's got a YouTube channel, and Dan went on the channel and he was like, yeah, we're gonna kill Ethereum. And at the time, obviously, Ethereum was already there. So I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I'll dive down that. And then I did a video basically, about a year ago, just saying, because it was about, the Rex. No, what was it again? I can't remember. I basically did my first video and I posted it in the EOS chat. And then some people were like, that's cool, talking about EOS. And then I just started with just talking about EOS projects, because I think EOS, like the community, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was difficult to like connect with the Ethereum community as such, but I felt like the EOS community is so great because it's so like diverse and malleable, and there's so much open-mindedness. Like it's not about like we're all Ethereum, that's it. We're not going to allow. The tribalism is we all understand decentralization is kind of a little bit more of a slider than just like it's only going to be built on Ethereum, that's it. So I found like. And obviously I was invested, I bought some, so I just carried on doing it, and I still am today. But that's kind of that's not really like that's kind of the typical story, isn't it? Start with Bitcoin, then you just go down that hole. But yeah,
right.
That's kind of it, really.
Well, I'll do to the DApp side per the name, right?
Yep.
So going into the DApp side, it is unique because most people haven't seen too much in that space, right? We had the early days of apps, and then mobile apps, then web apps, and there was cloud apps, right? If you want to really get specific, and then there was kind of the stabling, and it wasn't clear where we were going to go next. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, I would say, and no time specific, but the word dApps came up, right? Either distributed or decentralized, and it started decentralized with David Johnson back about 6 years ago, so 2013, and it kind of went away. And now here we are, 2019, 2020. 2020 is a different story, but where we are now, dApps is a commonly tossed around term, and so the fact that you threw that into your name, I mean, that shows you were on the forefront of this. Yeah,
I kind of didn't like. Well, obviously with EOS. It was the whole thing for me is that EOS is going to be built for decentralized applications. But I actually feel like the word DApp isn't really like actually. It's a great word, and I put it into my name because it represents decentralized applications. But I kind of feel like EOS is just going to be applications in general, because there's going to be centralized ones which are just going to just utilize this technology. But it's a good point you bring up, Max Dapp, because I wanted the whole channel. I feel like this space has the biggest opportunity to change the most shit in the shortest amount of time. I feel like, sorry for swearing, but like it's true, it's like I feel like this space, because it came out of retail as well. It has this huge potential just to change stuff so quickly, and I feel like other technologies, maybe whether it's going to be quantum or robotics or even like this, this biotech, it's all kind of just like closed off into the hands of the very, very rich elite, right. And this is kind of more grassroots kind of this movement. So the decentralized application space, I just feel it's going to explode, man. It's just that why would like gaming, for instance, like I want this channel to be about gaming, like Max Dapp, like not your channel. I'm on your channel now, but my channel over there, right? I'm taking over. And DeFi, of course, but and I think we just don't know yet. That's the great thing about this space. We don't know what's going to come out of this. Like all these industries you've got, there might just be a completely different industry we didn't even know existed in that, in the next 10, 20 years. So the gaming space I feel is going to get disrupted. So that's why I did Max Dapp. That's why it came up, and it sounds kind of cool, like Dapp, like Dapper,
Good transition, but it is, and it's really exciting in this space because something like dApps is so general and yet so specific, but it also is the one thing that directly ties to the consumer.
Yeah.
Right? As consumers, we know apps, right? We don't know quantum because quantum is something behind the scenes. But dApps, I mean, and I've seen some of your videos, many of them actually, but big fan.
Thanks,
but I'll get the autograph afterwards.
Oh, you're a legend, man. I love you. You're invited around my place. You can come to England. We can party together. Let's go.
Dude, I got you in San Francisco, so no stress.
Yeah.
But it's the gaming aspect is super exciting because, again, apps, consumer. Everything else is behind the scenes. DeFi is that next round where people understand finance and the need for such things. But gaming, I mean, what are you seeing in the gaming space that's getting you so excited about that spot?
That's a good question. Yeah, like even recently Warzone, right? It's just kicked off. I used to play Call of Duty so much, and they've had COD points before, but the points used to be you just bought. Well, it kind of is the same, right? You buy with your card, you buy points, and then you can basically spend things in game. But this new iteration is like you can have the points in the game and you can trade the points as well. So it's kind of like just slowly progressing to an in-game currency, which it was before, right. But it kind of wasn't because it was just so tied to, it just says the amount of points it costs and that just equates to dollars. But the tokens are actually getting to a point now where they can circulate within game. So the next step is, and these are huge, massive games like FIFA, for instance. I used to smash it. Call of Duty. I didn't really get into Fortnite as much, but loads of different types of big multiplayer games, right? And I just see like everyone's already doing this. And it's just going to become to the point where everyone's already doing this stuff, but the next step is just having it so those tokens are, they have some type of security or value. And that's where the blockchain comes in. And I feel like a lot of these people who, I don't think we're going to be here in 5 years saying the best blockchain games. It's just not going to be like that. It's just going to be like the best games, and they're going to use blockchain and no one's going to know about it. There will be games which specifically go down like cryptocurrency warlords, it'll be like the crypto, that kind of thing. But I feel like these big games, and also it's quite interesting as well, because a lot of these games companies might actually be a bit hesitant to do this because it's going to bring in tax, it's going to bring in law, it's going to bring in a whole load of different things, which, it's going to be, it might actually be kind of like similar to how DeFi might be disrupting the banking industry or blockchain in general. It might be some resistance, but what we know is from history that innovation doesn't stop. So it's eventually going to happen, right? And it's going to happen in our lifetime. So, and I just see like gamers as well, like World of Warcraft. I used to play it a little bit. I used to play another game called Entropia Universe. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. If you know who that is, you're a legend. No. If you're watching this, you know what that is. But I used to play this. I spent hundreds of pounds on this game, man, buying virtual items. And I did actually contact the team. I messaged them. Obviously, I don't know. That's another whole thing. But basically, I feel like what I used to do playing these games, buying these virtual items, there's a lot of, the problem is like with these games is you spend money and there's no real return. You spend it and then you pay for your monthly usage, or you buy your item. But the beauty with these blockchain kind of token economic systems is that you can invest and you can get return if you work. It's the play to earn aspect, and that just completely fascinates me. I always say to my friends, I'll be a multi-millionaire now if I got paid to play computer games when I was 15. Like I'll be smashing it right now. So I feel like you're still there. It's cutting out a little bit, but yeah. So I feel like you're still there. Yeah, rambling on, but I feel like this kind of, it's all it's going to take is one big games company with a good partnership with another games company, maybe something like Ultra or with Ubisoft and AMD, where you're suddenly going to see a game where these tokens can just actually live in your cryptocurrency Coinbase wallet. And then that brings more adoption to Coinbase, and then people are spending freaking coins for coffee, and then wow. It's so good. It's coming, man. Question.
Esports is popping. We've got that, and we've got video games that are continuing to grow. Right now there's a shortage of Nintendo Switches in the world, so video games are obviously popular. But and we've got a ton on the DApp side. We've got Skyweaver, we've got Decentraland, depending on how you look at it. There's tons of games that are specific, right, to the blockchain. But one unique question, and this actually came from the community. It's really, really good. Let me get their name. Sherwin. So Sherwin threw this question out. with video games thus far, we've had a virtual currency, right? With no real tangible value, right? It's been just call it a 1-for-1 based on the game. But now we have actual digital currencies that have market value with volatility or stable coins. When, if, or not, do you see stable coins being a part of this video game future of ours, or this gaming future of ours?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel to a degree that stable coins are integrated into some games already, like say casino games. There's a few ones like BetHash, I think Dice. There's one called Wink now on the Tron network. They have a stable coin already built into that. But it's a good question because, like, how I see it, I think that, I don't know, stable coins are really powerful because you don't need to have a bank to have cash. Pounds, dollars, pesos, yens, whatever it is, right? That's massive. Like, the whole banking system doesn't even need to be there anymore if you rely on a blockchain rather than relying on a bank institution. You probably know all about that, Mike, because I'm talking to the right guy here. So, yeah, the question was, when will these stable coins be integrated into games? So big games.
In bigger games outside of casinos. So we'll
outside
separate casinos,
like
because
actual
I think that's an easy one-to-one. Bigger games. So like the example that Sherwin gave was World of Warcraft, just as an example. But let's think about things like Decentraland or Skyweaver or future games built, on top of DeFi frameworks. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Is that something that can happen?
Yeah, I definitely think it can happen. Like in a weird way, like some of these bigger games we see where it's like, buying points in a way that is a stable coin but not backed. So it's I could definitely see that happening. There's a game I played, which was built on Tron, which was actually prospectors are going to be bringing this in soon, I think. So, you'll have a stable, so at the moment you have gold and you could basically sell into a stable coin. I definitely think, that this is what the next step is, because people understand what stable coins are, right? Because it's a dollar backed coin. And like for most gamers, they don't want a volatile asset which moves massively. So actually, I think it was you guys, Equilibrium, you have a widget which you can implant into a game, right? And then you could have a system which I think I was talking to. It's a really good question actually, because I was talking to the guys from Chintai, and they came on the channel, and they were building some really interesting kind of like, what is it again? It's almost like an oracle system for items, right? So like, if you get what I think is this, the next step for dApps to get mainstream is being able to sell your tokens at one click. And what are you going to sell them for? You're not really going to sell them for Bitcoin. It's going to be a stable coin. It's going to be whether it's $1 or a Tether or a DAI or whatever, even it could be, all these other ones like USDC. It doesn't matter which one it is as long as it's backed. So I think that has to happen because people in the game, say for instance, let's make an example of this. So Decentraland, right? Or actually Upland. Upland are doing this right now, which is the one built on EOS. Do they already have it? I'm not sure. But if you're going to have a game which it needs to be one-click shop to sell into $1, and then you can move that to another wallet, and then that wallet's all, say it's easily explained. So it's like download this wallet, send your USDT tokens out, then you can actually cash out. So I think I'm kind of answering the question. It's a tough question, but I feel like games, dApps, this is a really good way in to then start, because I don't think it's the end goal. Personally, I don't think stable coins will actually stay stable forever. I think stable coins aren't even that stable. Look at the world right now. It's crazy. All these trillions of dollars we're printing. So I feel like Bitcoin is the true stable coin, because Bitcoin only has 21 million tokens. So that is actually more stable, but it's just smaller markets, so it's more volatile. But I see I'm trying to answer the question for this guy. I see it has. I think it's a good way in, and it has to happen. And I think the first games to do it are probably going to do really well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good. I mean, Sharon was comparing it because it had a real time with World of Warcraft, because it had a real time economy inside the game, right? And so it wasn't just getting points. There was actual trade that happened. So I think you did a good job, and we definitely got it. So. Going back to your background, you jumped into dApps. I mean, what are you seeing now in terms of the future of applications for decentralized apps? we talked a little bit off air about the underlying infrastructure, whether it's EOS versus Ethereum versus Tron. But where do you see things going in terms of dApps today?
Yeah, it's a good question. Again, I think actually there's going to be more backlash from the status quo. I know it sounds bad because we all think these dApps are going to suddenly take over, but just like the more I dive into it, the more I'm like, actually dApps, they make it a lot more difficult in some cases just to have a game like I don't want to keep going back to like FIFA, but the guys who run these game companies make millions of dollars just because they sell an item and it isn't worth anything, then they can resell it in the next game. So there is there's these big games probably aren't going to like transition as quickly as we think, but it's going to have to be a whole new breed, you know what I mean? Like a whole new breed of these dApps coming through and disrupting, and then they have to change, or maybe even a whole system. So I think it's a really good question. I think games distribution needs to change. So if you want to talk about Ultra, I think Ultra right now, in my opinion, are the best project with the way they've got their funding and the way their team's structured to start actually delivering blockchain application dApps, right, to mainstream with their partnerships. So that distribution level was perfect for Ultra. And then you've got all these other chains like Wax. And yeah, it's the way I see it happening, I see like every single game. Let's start with games, right? So every single game, I think, definitely could benefit from this because obviously you can have in-game items like NFTs, which are valuable, and we do that anyway. But it's kind of like a two-way thing, because I feel like a lot of these games, like Clash of Clans, for instance, they actually might not want to do that because they know they can resell on an update. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit like, oh, we don't want to do that because it's too complicated and and there's going to be all these extra costs and we're going to have tax lawyers involved and all this crap. It's actually getting crazy. It gets so complicated. So it needs to be a whole new breed of games. Some of the games, I think Prospectors is doing a blimmin' amazing job, mate. Really do. I think they're doing so well. I think Prospectors is it is the most used dApp right now. I think in the top 10. A lot of the other ones are gambling. So Prospectors is a prime example of how you can build an in-game economy which kind of benefits the whole ecosystem. And it's like they're creating a whole economy. Like, it's weird. It's like they are literally the gods of this new economy they're building. So there's going to be an equilibrium. I'll add that word into whether the way they tweak it, the way they create an economy. So I kind of go on a tangent. Hopefully I answered this question, but I think that it's going to be a little bit longer than we think. And also the game distribution needs to change, and that hopefully Ultra can help that. And then I just think that every type of dApp, every game or every application, whether it's DeFi, can benefit from being on a blockchain. So I think it's just coming overall, yeah.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, I've got a good question to follow, but just had one come through. We know where things are today, or where they may go, but what can the DeFi community, right, which is doing a ton? I mean, there's so much testing, right?
Yeah.
We'll call it that, as you and I talked about offline. There's so much testing going on. What can the DeFi community do, and what must we do to push things forward as applications are as well? Like, what do we need to do as the DeFi community to really start to push things forward, to push development forward, to push integration forward, to push usage forward?
Yeah, no, it's another very interesting question. Like, DeFi is, for me, because I said to you before we went on live, I was like, I thought Ethereum was going to take over most of the DeFi, but then we had that big problem, didn't we, where the big crash, and then Ethereum price oracles were going down. There's huge transaction fees, so there was basically Ethereum was similar to the DAO. They got hacked basically and lost $1 million, and no one could get their DeFi. And it showed that EOS actually has some really, really good use cases for DeFi as well. I wasn't saying that EOS wouldn't, but I think like the best way it could progress, I think that EOS and Ethereum need to work more together because they're different things. Like, Ethereum is kind of like the hardware, EOS is like the software. You can take the code, you can change it, do whatever you want with it. So I feel like a hybrid between like a DeFi application, I think, which would be really powerful, would be a hybrid between Ethereum and EOS. Taking certain things from the, what makes EOS great, and certain things that make Ethereum great as well. Even though Ethereum doesn't look too great right now after the hack, and all that kind of stuff. But DeFi is really interesting because I think another thing is with DeFi is like it really does blow your mind that there is no need for institutions like private banks when you have DeFi, because obviously there is a level of maybe you wanting to have, like, why do we have a bank? We all know we have a bank because they secure your money for you. It's a third party intermediary to secure your money, keep it safe, then they go and invest it or whatever they do with it. So without that, you have it on a blockchain. You basically put your trust into the blockchain, and then you don't need a bank. So the way it could progress, I don't know. I think it will progress just because there is no point not it progressing. It's just more efficient. It's cheaper. You're relying on smart contracts instead of people, so there's less expense involved. The only thing I think what would really make it blow up even more than it already is, because like you said, there's so much happening in the DeFi space, and I can't even keep up with most of it. You guys probably know more than me, so
I think everyone's having the same problem. It just happens too fast.
It's whizzing through, and it's almost like you have to be a part of the team to know exactly what's going on. And like, I think the real killer would be, say, a hybrid between Ethereum and EOS, because you can. I think, and then this is another thing I think as well. I think like blockchains in general won't be seen as like EOS Ethereum. I think there's probably going to be a toolkit one day which just lets you pick and choose from all these different blockchains, like a liquid apps, almost like a central overlay, another overlay over this whole base layer infrastructure. So, pull your price oracles and your APIs from EOS, have some of the smart contracts built on Ethereum because it's immutable, and just pick and choose. And I think that would maybe build an unstoppable DeFi app. Yeah, that's what I think.
I think you're spot on. I mean, we've talked about it in past sessions and talked about it as a team too. The idea of bridging or interoperability is an absolute must, one. And then two, that user interface, or we'll just call it interface, on top of that is going to have to be there for things to scale, right? The cloud scaled in some cases because systems came in like AWS and Azure and others to help people do one click. Right? That cloud as a service, or just pick and choose, right? Yeah. And then there became some interoperability between the two, or bridges. And that's one of the things we've worked on, shameless plug, but that's one of the things we've worked on is, how do things look at in the future, and how does everything connect, right? We know Polkadot and others are doing this as well, but it's something we're all going to have to look at, because you're right? Everyone does something a little bit,
and it makes it more decentralized as well.
Totally. And we all have something to offer. We all have great teams. We all have great projects and focuses that may be a little different. But with that being said, I want to get to Minnie's question. So Minnie, shout out, a big shout out to Minnie, who asked the question. What's the
shout
biggest
out to Minnie? That's good.
Yeah, there you go. What's the biggest flaw or issue among most popular dApps today?
Oh yeah, well, I know the answer to this one. It's users. It's people using the product. dApps. Think about it. Like, the best app in the world's got 2,000 users. It really is nothing. There's a guy in a shed who can put out an app on the App Store in Indonesia and get 20,000 people using it. So it literally is nothing. And that's just because of users. Like, the adoption is so low because at the moment that's their barrier. A lot of these games you need Scatter, or you need a Tron wallet, or whatever it is to log in. This links back to why EOS is going to be so big, in my opinion, because as these games, say Wax, for instance, I'm saying EOS.io in general, because at the end of the day, Wax, you could use the all access pass to then log in, and then you could be built on the EOS mainnet. But I think the main flaw of dApps is just the usability right now. And I think that's just fair. Like, that's what any new technology goes through. Like, I talked to my dad, when he was building internet, products back in the internet days, and he was like, "Yeah, well, we had dial-up." You know what I mean? Like, how could you have Amazon with dial-up? It just wouldn't work. So the funnel for users is just too small right now. And then obviously you can talk about scalability of just blockchains in general. But if you can extrapolate further into the future, I see EOS being that malleable overlay software layer where you can get good high throughput and also easy onboarding. Eventually, EOS will be the one to go for easy onboarding, because you look at Wax. They've got the all access pass, which is as simple as logging with Google, basically.
Right.
And then integrating that with the games, basically. So, it's all access pass, you have your account, and maybe even a little bit of education, because, blockchain games are, when you actually start, for us, it's quite obvious that, virtual things can have value, but for most of the world, that actually is a bit weird. You go talk to someone in the street, they're like, what do you mean, man? Like, well, it's not, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, it can't have value. So it's probably just going to take a little bit of education, and also just the idea of sending in, virtual tokens. But that is coming just through the world anyway, because most of us just look at a number on the screen anyway now, instead of actually going and getting cash out the wall. I hardly ever use cash. I've been using cash a little bit more actually through this epidemic, because
Really?
you go get cash out the wall. Yeah, I have been using cash more, because there was I went to like one of these stores, and they're like, yeah, well, our systems are down. And I was like, okay, well, what's going on? What do I need? There's a cash point around the corner. And I've never had to do that before in that store. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But overall, we are going towards that way. Let me just think. So, another flaw of dApps right now. Because I know I did a whole blooming video about this. So also, I feel there's going to be more backlash from institutions than we think. And even games, unfortunately. Whether it's going to be Engine Coin or, Ultra, who are going to smash through the shit and get through this kind of problem of, I think bigger games don't actually want this as much as we think right now. They make so much money anyway. If it's making money, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So,
Right.
yeah, I think it's like generally the marketplace, and then just obviously the adoption, because just look at the figures. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. People aren't as technical as you think in the masses.
Yeah.
We need to make it easier. And I think what you guys are doing with one click, like in swapping instead of the trading and using order books, and that's why EOS is so powerful, because there is going to be a way where you can log in without knowing you're logging into a blockchain. You can't really do that with Ethereum. Maybe use EOS as that layer, and then have if you want to use Ethereum, then use all the smart contracts on Ethereum, but log in through EOS. It's easier.
Well, and so we know that we just had an upgrade on EOS, right? We just had the new version come out. Ethereum, TBD at some point this year, hopefully in the next few months, this first half of the 2020. That being said, Ethereum is still leading when it comes to the amount of applications. So, why do you think we're seeing a lack on EOS? And again, back to that same question, what more can we all do to help get that on?
That's actually a really good question. I should have mentioned that. It's Ethereum is like you build a smart contract, you deploy, and it runs forever, and that's kind of it. And then obviously you have all the other stuff, like you said, with all the upgrades they're going to be bringing over the year, which is going to turn into a whole proof of stake. And there's going to be a beacon chain as well, which is going to go through and have transactions, which is really cool. But the thing about EOS is it's quite expensive on the mainnet to deploy a decentralized application. There's most developers I speak to, whether it's games, DeFi projects, and even this new game called Chain Clash recently. It's just it's expensive because you need RAM, you need this, you need that. And for the amount of users you're going to get back in return right now, it's just not worth it. And it probably never will be worth it, because it gets exponentially more expensive the more users you have. So it's you can't get away from it on EOS. If you have 1 million users, you're going to have to pay for 1 million accounts. So, there needs to. This is what I think. The EOS mainnet might just end up being a clearing layer for tokens, for valuable tokens. But there will be applications built on it, because you don't have to have your whole game or your whole dApp built on the blockchain. But I feel like these sister chains, like Wax, Ultra, these smaller chains, maybe like Telos, who are doing some awesome stuff in gaming as well at the minute. And you've got like Boss, where there's another one called like EOS. What was it? Not EOS Nation. EOS Force and stuff. I don't know what they're doing now. That was a while ago, but I feel like these smaller sister chains have a really good chance of getting lots of users in, because they can basically just make EOS what it is. They can have all the resources and they can block produce all themselves. So it's like the resources don't mean anything anymore. It's basically a database. It's just a slightly better database. And then what you do is you eke your way into the mainnet. So then you use those block producers, which you don't know who they are, and you can't, send decentralized block producers on the mainnet to clear the token. So yeah, it's another really good question. I am enjoying these actually, because it makes you think. You try and speculate into the future what's going to be like, but again, it's difficult to know.
Right.
I'm not saying I know. I'm not saying that's going to be the way it's going to go. I'm just saying the mainnet does have certain flaws because it's hard to use, it's expensive, and that's why And then you said, why is Ethereum leading? Another good question. Ethereum have such a mass effect. I have a few YouTube videos like Ethereum 2.0 explained by Vitalik Buterin. It gets 200 views every day. And then I'll do Dan Larimer explains EOS 2.0, and it'll get a lot less. So it's just because Ethereum, it gets a lot less. I'm just going to be frank with you guys. It's just such a huge community of people who just don't even look any further than Bitcoin and Ethereum. Seriously, the developers, even if you post stuff in, I used to post things in, general crypto chats and Ethereum chats about EOS, banned. So unfortunately, it's happened to me loads of times. So it's horrible.
Not just YouTube.
Not just YouTube. They're crazy out there. They're tribal. No, I'm joking. I don't want to annoy anyone, but there's there is a lot of Ethereum, because the main thing everyone used to say is that, because you can get access to the smart. I don't want to go down that road. We know now that there's definitely a really strong use case for EOS, and there's not everything's going to be Ethereum. Everything being immutable is ridiculous, in my opinion. It just doesn't make any sense because things move on. All the contracts. So it's a good question. I don't know. Why is Ethereum getting more? It's probably just the mass. There's more people know Ethereum, and it's maybe cheaper right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw in one of the third. I believe they're the third largest. I know it keeps fluctuating. So Tron.
Yeah.
We had a question from the community of what do you expect from not Tron. I apologize. What do you expect from the TON?
What the
TON launch?
Telegram.
My bad. Yeah. My bad out there to the community.
That's all right. That's all right. No, it's good.
I misread that question. Let's pull back. Starting over. What do you expect from the Telegram, the TON launch? They've got a ton of user base, a huge user base, a big kind of inner dApps ecosystem, right, on top of theirs. This hopefully will come out globally this quarter, which we just started, so Q2 2020. Some pushback, which might delay it, but let's just say it's going to launch. What do you expect? Because this could enter a lot of rivalries very quickly.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
What are you expecting from this? And my apologies to the
That's all right, no worries.
Question, so.
Tron's centralized, man. I'm joking.
Yeah. We're going to stay away from that one.
I think I'm just going to default back to actually what Brock Pierce said. I had an interview with him a while ago, and he said that because of the SEC and everything, because I haven't really been following it that much, I won't lie actually right now, but he said that because of the SEC and all these problems, I don't know how far they got through with that now, but they're going to have massive issues trying to get this actually released. But if it is going to get released, then great. But I think if there's any updates which I don't know, tell me now, because I'll just default. Brock Pierce said basically it's going to be difficult for them to actually deploy this and actually have it adopted. But if they do, think about it. Everybody uses Telegram. We all support it. We like the product. TON is that perfect cryptocurrency, as well as being a platform to build. You're going to be able to snap into that user base straight away. So you guys are like religiously Ethereum, EOS, Tron, whatever. If this does blow up, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to be in this community as well, and because I don't really care what it's built on. All I care about is if the application can get users and be better than the status quo. So yeah, I won't say I'm an expert on it right now. I don't really know, but I know that the way they've got it set up, if they can get it through all the regulation and stuff like that, then it's probably going to be pretty darn good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to the whole Libra debate from earlier in the summer. I mean, you've got an inherent user base that you can turn on in an instant, deploy a currency, stable or not, and
it's a platform as well, right? Is it?
Yeah. So I think it's a combination.
A platform, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got an ecosystem within an ecosystem. So you're right. It could, if and when.
Users win, man. Users win all.
Yeah. It's
you can have the best
crazy
technology, but you can have the best tech, but if you don't get users, then it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I want to jump back to DeFi specific. So we had a question come through about DeFi on EOS over Ethereum, and again, a shameless plug, but it's something we talked about beforehand. So you've talked about this. Alex, our founder and CEO, has talked about this. We had a crazy situation with Maker happen recently that probably will not be the last in the industry, and not to them, but to others. Why do you see, again, that DeFi on EOS over Ethereum after a lot of these things just happened?
Yeah, because I did a video on Ethereum DeFi, and then I went on the DeFi Pulse website, and then obviously there was no EOS ones up there. And then you guys kind of showed me that this is going to change, and we had like a tweet out. It was really, really good, and that's kind of put me down this rabbit hole. And that article you guys did about it went on Cointelegraph, right? And it was just explaining how there was the issues with Ethereum, and then how EOS can kind of have its use case. And it was really interesting because Ethereum is so slow and this big juggernaut, and like it's all immutable. You can't change this. Transaction fees went through the roof, and we had that big hack. Lost $1 million. MakerDAO went down, all that kind of stuff, and no one could withdraw their funds. And the price, it was a complete carnage. It was like the DAO again, all those years ago. So it shows that EOS has definitely, it's really, really powerful because all of the prices were perfectly level. There was you could completely withdraw whenever you wanted. The infrastructure of the block producers running it just had nothing to do with the volatility of price. It was like it's just grabbing its information, its data from a whole different field. But Ethereum is different because it's all running through the same channel, the same chain. It is obviously the same chain on EOS, but it's just obviously structured in a slightly different way. So I feel like, kind of like I said before, I feel like there still will be a use case for Ethereum because it's immutable smart contracts. I think that is a positive. But it has to be very specific contract, which is never need to be changed or updated, and you have to get it right from the go. And then it goes back to my last point that I think like EOS and Ethereum is I think if you're DeFi, it's going to have to use some sort of EOS.io software, because at the end of the day, EOS.io is that application software layer, which is easier for people to use and interact with and all these things. So I feel like in a way that none of them they're not going to be successful on their own. They kind of do need to use each other in a way. But yeah, it's a good question. What was the question again? I always ramble on.
No, you got it. I mean, it was talking about DeFi EOS over Ethereum, which is just kind of how the debate began with the future of
great
Maker
article, by the way.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex, our CEO. He wrote it. I did. So mad props to him and the team on that. But going another level, so Voice, and we talked again a little bit about this earlier.
Nice.
Voice just raised or received a ton of money. Voice is launched, on Valentine's Day, so February 14th. It has users in its beta. It's starting to have some kind of adoption. What are your thoughts on this? And the reason I ask is, right now, to sign up for any social network, you create a username, password.
Yep.
Maybe you put up a photo and you go, right? You're not held to anything. With Voice, there's an entire different process, including its KYC. So it's know your customer. There's a whole type of authentication. It changes the game in that sense of how you onboard to these things. So what do you think about Voice? And I saw your last video, you talked about this. So that's why I'm calling it out too. Where do you see voice going? What are your thoughts on voice and what can this do for the future of social?
Yeah. Well, yeah, another awesome question. I could probably ramble on a while about this. So, like, if voice can be anything like Steemit, if voice could be, because Steemit was really amazing at its peak. Like, people making hundreds of dollars just by everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is proof of brain!" Like all these new things coming out of the woodwork and these new concepts. It was just amazing. Like, if like, and obviously there's a big Steemit community out there. It was in the top 50,000 websites for a year, I think. So it was used a lot, and people were making hard money out of this. I remember, I don't know if you were around for the Steemit boom, but it was big, man. And like, it definitely built a lot of the EOS community. So voice is basically going to be the same as Steemit, but it's going to be better, obviously. They're going to make it worse. And they're going to make it more mainstream, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a few things, right? So like voice, if it basically looks like it is very similar to Steemit, if it could be anything like that, it's going to be successful. But personally, the KYC is annoying because it is definitely going to stop a certain demographic of people using it. But the mainstream probably don't care that much. And, you know, if we want to make mainstream adoption, it probably won't be that much of an issue if they market it correctly to say that it's one person, you know, it's going to be true news, all these kind of things. Because you see it so much. Like, sometimes I look at the news, I'm like, or I look at things which are happening, I'm like, I just want to tell them this. They're like, oh, we need something we need to have. There was a lady basically got a lot of abuse in the UK. She went on the news quite recently, and she was like, oh yeah, I get all this hate, and it made me almost like commit suicide. Really bad thing, right? She was like really upset. Happened to a celebrity as well. You know, making people feel really down about themselves. And I was just thinking, like, yeah, if the thing is, no one says all these horrible things to your face in the street. You know, whether you're the worst person in the world, most times, like, when you meet someone in the street, you don't say horrible things to them. You kind of get on with them and just say, yeah, whatever. So this KYC will make it so it will change the whole spectrum because of the accountability. You know, people won't have all this hate and all this crap, because it's quite sick, really, how people just sit behind a computer, anonymous, and then just fire this hate, but they would never do it if they saw you or they had accountability for it. So that's a massive thing in my opinion, which is going to help. But, you know, KYC isn't the best way to go about it, I know, because people are going to be like, no, we don't want to do that. But if please Dan, do this, come up with a way of authenticating people without KYC, which is through social interaction or social ladder stemming, whatever it is. We've heard some stuff come out of Dan, which he's got ideas to do it. But yeah, voices. I'm really excited, man, because, you know, we need this. Yeah. We need this right now. Like, it's so key to have we haven't got any social media platform which has any integrity, like Dan says. There's no integrity to them. Maybe Twitter does a little bit because you can get verified, and, you know, Twitter's quite good actually. It's not that bad, but there are still loads of bots and crap going on. So. Social media. I think he's still there. It says it's unstable.
Yeah, we're still there.
You're still there. Yeah, so I think. Yeah, this idea of being. Yeah, I think it's massive, man. If they can if it can work, because you can once people start getting rewarded to post, and then they get this kind of universal basic income, but it's not really. Personally, I would like it to be more like, make it feel like it's universal basic income more. You know what I mean? That's what I'd like to see. Like. And I kind of like the name EOS in a way. Your voice is gonna get way more adoption because everyone's like, oh yeah, the voice, and it sounds nice and the mainstream. But I wouldn't say I was really mainstream in that way. I want it to be called EOS and be like dark and black and really cool and like kind of like my
this is your next Dapp.
Yeah, literally, I need to do this. Max Dapp gonna bring up. I don't want to go too down this rabbit hole, but like. My economic operating system, right? I feel like social media, if social media really wants to be really cool, in my opinion, instead of it being like you log in to your social media, you log into yourself, like log into Facebook, log into Twitter. I feel like the future it's not logging in. It's just that is you, your virtual self online. There's no login period. It's just like your biometrics are what allow you to unlock your virtual self online. And then it's you. It's 100%. And then all this weird interaction we have online where it's like, you don't know who I am, and it's catfishing, and I might be a man 40 years old, but I might be a woman. Is you know what I mean? All this crap goes out the window because if there was a social media platform and the name of it wasn't like Voice or Facebook, it was the name of the social media platform was your name, and that was the platform. Your name was the platform. It's almost like decentralizing Amazon. Everybody becomes their own distributor instead of there being one hub, centralized hub. Everyone becomes their own miniature Amazon. If that makes any sense. That's why I think social media could turn into everybody becomes their own. You are your social media. Your socialness is just your social media online. But that's me kind of. That's not going to happen for ages. But that would be
that's cool. I mean, I'm ready to join the Max Dapp platform.
Yeah, it's going to have to happen, isn't it?
It is. I've already subscribed, so I'm part one. But few more questions here. So we just had the acquisition or the announcement of the acquisition of CoinMarketCap by Binance. And CoinGecko just dropped an awesome book. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's free, I think, right now on their website about everything DeFi. I think it's called How to DeFi.
Nice.
One of the questions we had was, what's a good resource or tool as an alternative to those that's possibly on chain, if you know of any? So any good alternatives to CoinMarketCap? Oh
yeah, good shout. Yeah, so you say CoinGecko. To be honest, I don't actually use those services much. I use like TradingView. It's a little bit more technical. There's also, you can use TradingView to get your prices, and also they update the prices every second. So if you really want to know what the price is at that second, use and you can put all your things on the side. Cointelegram, really, CoinMarketCap is really good. Yeah, CoinGecko. There was another one called because I don't really use them anymore. It was called CoinMarket1, which is good for EOS dApps, EOS coins. Let me just think. It'll be all my bookmarks, but just trying to think another good way to get your prices. But yeah, to be fair, I use also on your phone you can use CoinStats. You can use another one called Blockfolio, which is quite good. You can get your price updates from there. Let me think. There's another really good one I had a while ago. It's called True. That's for volume actually. So there's one called True Market Cap Volume or something. Type in True Market Cap Volume and it will tell you to a website which is like all the prices, but like the true volume of what's going on. And because a lot of these exchanges have such little liquidity that they kind of mess up the price. So
CoinMarketCap won. Yeah. So Armadillo, who asked the question, he just found it. And they dropped it in there. So
yeah, nice. Yeah,
in the chat
that's EOS stuff, and you get loads of other prices on there as well. It's good.
Yeah. So jumping back to EOSIO. So do you think? And this is a question we had from White T. I feel like there's a hand sign, like Star Trek, just YT on that one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. YT asks, do you think sidechains overall contribute to EOSIO, but make EOS go down in value? What's more important, EOS or EOSIO?
It's all the EOS world, man. It's all EOS. It all adds value, in my opinion. This is obviously debatable, but I think that everything which uses EOSIO software is just building to the EOSIO eventual ecosystem, the whole thing, whether it's the EOS, because they've got to remember that all the EOS mainnet is a collection of people who have decided that this is going to have everything, all the value on it. That's all it is. Anyone can come and create another chain, anyone, and you can do whatever you want with it, whether it's Wax, Boss, Ultra. But yeah, no, I feel like the more EOSIO just in general, the more value will always end up. Look, at the end of the day, right? So the token price of EOS relies on one thing. It's just demand. If there's more demand for the token for resources, so more applications built on it, the price of the token is going to go up. Fundamentally, that's just what it is. There's a lot of speculation involved in market manipulation, all that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, the actual price of that token, the realization, what's the word for it? Yeah, when it actually realizes its real true value, it will just be down to supply and demand when it gets really huge market cap and then volatility goes down. So all these extra chains are eventually going to connect back to the mainnet, and they're going to use the mainnet for clearing and all these kind of things. So all it's going to do is it's going to increase the need for people to have resources on the EOS mainnet, whether it's like, having resources for RAM to do transactions, all this kind of stuff. So the more EOS.io, the better. It's only going to bring up the whole ecosystem, in my opinion. And then also things like Voice, for instance, it's completely on its own chain. What you're going to see is like people are going to use Voice when it gets out there in the open. And they're like, how does this work? And they're going to look at how it works and they see it's built on EOS.io. Oh, that's cool. And then they're going to find the EOS mainnet and they're like, oh, you know what? I might just make a little DApp, developer. And it's very similar to, I had a really good, did a really good interview with a guy called Sebastian van der Lans. He came on the show and he's the CEO of WordProof. And he had he's still got a very successful WordPress organization company. And at the end of the day, because EOS.io is open source and anybody can build, the more iterations you have of the mainnet, the better, because it's like natural selection. It's like you're going to see if this idea works, see if this idea, but that doesn't work, and then you're going to have this huge extension of where it's going to be like. It doesn't really matter. It's almost like EOS can't fail because there's so many people trying so many different ways that eventually you're going to find that sweet spot, and then that will be then tailored into the mainnet if it worked. So it's like testing grounds as well. So in my opinion, 100% valuable, really good. It's like WordPress. It's like saying, what's more valuable, just WordPress or the plugins to WordPress? It's the same thing, right? It's like, obviously the plugins make WordPress better, but those plugins make their own money from selling those, but it doesn't go to WordPress. So I feel like it's all the side chains are like the plugins. So it's definitely valuable, yeah.
And my apologies, that was actually from Corporate Comics.
I know Corporate Comics, yeah, legend.
YouTube. Yeah. That was from YouTube. That was my fault. So Corporate Comics, apologies. You're going to get a second question because of my mistake on that. So
he's a legend, man. That's Ali. Ali, he used to be the EOS Authority community guy, and he also is now a company called OCM. I'll shout it out for him. OCM.
There you go. He deserves it. Go for it.
Yeah. OCM is doing getting really good quality organic products into the hands of consumers for wholesale prices. Let's go. And it's going to be all tracked on the blockchain. We're going to be doing some work in it. We wouldn't announce anything, but hopefully me and Ali are going to work on this together to bring products to the UK. So it should be cool.
All right, there you go, Ali. But you're still getting a second question.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we talked about before, right? Mass adoption. And the question comes up is, do you think private keys are inherently against or creating friction against mass adoption and recovery, right? These types of things are a little bit of friction points.
Yeah. Right now it's a friction point because the way we've gone about it at the beginning is that, and this is the way EOS was built, is that you need to own your own private key to own your own assets, right? And that's how the whole space works. But it's yes and no. It's yes and no because if you can make it so you need to have the private key yourself and you need to store it and you need to have scatter to log in, all that kind of stuff, which makes it complicated. But also EOS.io means that the DApp can have the private key on your behalf, right? And you lose maybe a little bit of decentralization, but the private key is everything. The private key is what makes this whole thing work, right? It's a cryptographic key, which means that you don't have to have a password. And we all know what's wrong with passwords. They're just crap. Everyone loses them. They get hacked. That's why we have our two-factor authentication. That's because passwords are rubbish, basically. So two-factor authentication is almost the same as having a YubiKey. You put a YubiKey in your computer, and then it's like a third party, which But the private key, yes or no, it's yes or no. The private key makes it annoying and more really the user adoption hard because if the DApp is constructing it in a way that you need to have it yourself, but then at the end of the day, EOS.io, that's why EOS.io has so much power because the DApp can have that private key on behalf of you and you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, and that's the problem with Ethereum because there's no real way you can do that. That will probably come in EOS in Ethereum too.
2.0. So last question, lightning round. What are some of the exciting dApps in your world right now? What are you most excited about in the DApp space?
Good question, man. I'm going for a while about this, dude.
It's all right. You only got a minute. You got lightning round. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just whiz through them. So let's start with EOS sister chains.
Yeah.
So Ultra, massively excited about Ultra. I think Ultra could be a really good project for game distribution. So check out Ultra. I've got a video on the YouTube channel. Check them out. They're really cool. Wax as well, because they're allowing easy onboarding, which I think is really, really powerful. Also, I'm going to shout out Telos right now because Telos isn't something I follow that well, but they've got 2 games which are really cool called Angry Warlords and then another one called Bloxland, which is coming out, which I have to give a shout out to. They sent me a link and it looks really cool. And then let's go on to EOS mainnet. So the question was just EOS, right? Or just general dApps?
Just general dApps.
Okay, general dApps. Before we get to the good stuff on EOS, there's a couple of dApps on. Oh wait, what's the name of that one? Oh yeah, so there's one which is using the Bitcoin Lightning Network called Light Night. Shout out to those guys. They're actually building a full multiplayer 3D Fortnite style battle royale game. Again, check out the video, and I'll plug it right now. If you buy it, you get 20% off with the Max Dapp code. So legends if you use it. And then that game looks really cool. And the single player came out 2 days ago, so you can check out the single player modes. And then that's not Ethereum based at all. And then on EOS, I'd say my favorite projects right now would probably be Prospectors as a game. Really, really cool. I would say Vigor, which is obviously a competitor to you guys, which is annoying. But then I would also say Equilibrium, obviously, because you guys are smashing it. Your team as well, I think I've met, I don't meet anyone. I watched a video ages ago on everything EOS, but it was with that other guy on another channel. I can't remember, but what you guys are doing great, man. Really, really good team, continuing to build, and kind of even for me, you kind of brought how powerful EOS is for DeFi. So you guys actually educated me, to be honest, on that. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. That's definitely going to be really powerful. So we got Vigor, Prospectors, Equilibrium. There's also a new game which just came out, I shout them out, called Chain Clash. And actually, to be honest, even the last month, the games have been getting a lot better, the quality. Because we had some pretty rubbish games in the past. Not going to mention any names, but there's been some. It's getting better and better and better. Lots of gambling dApps, we had before. So the games are getting better. I don't want to miss any projects out.
Right.
This new one.
You can drop more in the chat too. I mean, it's
okay.
Yeah. So you dropped a ton. I think people are super excited from what's seen on the chat right now, and we're super excited you could give the time today. And can't wait to have you back to talk more because I feel like this is flowing. But
let's go.
We do got to wrap. Yeah, we do got to wrap. You got 30 seconds. Plug away. We're super thankful to you and the entire community. But let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find Max Dapp, the individual, the channel, everything.
Literally YouTube/C/Max Dapp is the YouTube channel. Just type in Max Dapp into YouTube. There's literally no one else on the planet with that name, so it will be me. And then, so you can go on my Twitter, which is just, again, type in Max Dapp at Max Dapp. Follow me there. I do sometimes do giveaways and stuff like that, and just post about different dApps and stuff. Instagram at Max Dapp. It's all just Max Dapp because it's just a weird word. no one used that word before the dApp space, so it's brand new. So Max Dapp in any search engine or any kind of social media, you'll be able to get it. And I just specify on blockchain games. I do a little bit of trading, and then we also do cryptocurrency updates, whether it's EOS, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it. So just general crypto-ness. And then also, if you're looking for a good browser, I am an affiliate of the Brave browser. Definitely use the Brave browser. I got loads of content on that as well. So, that's kind of my bit there.
Awesome, Max. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. To everybody in the community, thank you for all of the great questions. A shout out to everybody for joining, for tuning in, and again for all of your participation today. Together, we're going to work to build this DeFi community, push EOS into this next generation of where things go from here in the blockchain landscape.
Amazing.
As today, we had our hour. In 2 weeks on April 15th, we are going to have our next guest, Alex, our CEO here at Equilibrium, to talk about everything DeFi, dApps, and building framework or using the Equilibrium framework to build your next DeFi application. So Max, again, thank you. Everybody check out Max Dapp on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere
Love
else.
it, mate. Thank you.
Check out Brave. And again, one last shout out to the EOS Authority and Ali over there for the great questions and my mess up. But again, everybody, thank you very much. We're going to jump off. We're going to get the best question. And
see you guys.
Mike will jump in the Telegram chat and let you know. But thank you guys.